Hello everybody, my name is Benji and welcome back to Dyson Sphere program, where last time we set up this interchange hub here for all of our production items that we will need in order to harvest an entire star system for all of its resources and all of its lovely bits. I just realized I don't have any orbital collectors, and I am probably not ever going to have orbital collectors, because it's going to take forever for them to actually, overflow back home and start producing. So that's a bit of a shame, I'm not gonna lie, because that means I'm gonna have to go home in order to get the orbital collectors, because we need the fire ice. Or alternatively, well, that's it's not even worth it. There's barely any fire ice there. So anyway, today we're going to be focusing on what I said we were going to do last time, which is the actual extra solar sails, and we are going to be making 60 solar sails per second. Now, this is going to need the 30 optical grading crystals per second, and I think we're matching that throughput with the optical grading crystals that I have harvested from the other planet. Just in case we don't, I can obviously always go back to this planet and jack up the advanced mining machine to 300%, as well as add some regular mining machines down in order to work in tandem with the 300% to meet that throughput. In the off case that we don't meet that throughput or run out of optical grading crystals, there are 20 million stone, and we can use the other base recipe for the Photon Combiners in order to actually have that work instead. So first things first, we're going to need 30 green chips per second, 30 optical grading crystals per second, and 30 graphene per second, which is essentially 30 hydrogen per second, or sorry, 15 hydrogen per second as a byproduct, and 30 fire ice per second as an input. So we can first of all grab our graphene Mark II. It's 24 fire ice in and 24 graphene out / 12 hydrogen out, which is perfectly fine. That just means that we're going to need 2 of these wonderful blueprints. And thinking about where we want these, this is our very large open space right here. So we're probably going to want to start with the production, honestly, really anywhere. Like, there's a couple of nodes here and there. I guess we can start it here. I guess it's not a bad spot to start. So let's go on ahead and let's find an area for this. And we'll go on ahead and plonk that one down there. And then we'll move this up. And we will put it, let's see, right there, I think is correct. Obviously, we're going to get our belt warning because we have the Mark II belts selected. Obviously, that's bad because we do not want Mark II belts anymore. We are the Mark III belt master race. And we are also going to be modifying these blueprints in order to have proliferation as well. So it's probably a good thing, in all honesty, that we do not have our fire ice harvested as of yet, because that gives us more time to proliferate the input. And we'll go ahead and put in our drones. Wait until this one gets built, and then put in our drones. And essentially, this is what today is going to be. Today is going to be all about the drones, baby. Proliferation Mark II. Remote storage, local demand, and grab our proliferation machine, smack it down there. Then we can grab our proliferation juice, and we can actually do this handy dandy thing where we like copy that And then make sure that everything... Ooh, problem. I see a problem. That problem being... Well, first of all, secondary problem. Local demand, remote storage. The problem being this large belt right here. And what we can do is we can shave it down and then move it to like there instead. And then there's a possibility that we are able to bring this up now. There. Just like that. Alright, look, I know you guys are having an issue, but you just need to not place Mark II belts, okay, guys? Okay, por favor, please, thanks. That's a Mark II, that's a Mark II, that's a Mark II, that's a Mark II, that's a Mark II. I just need you guys not to place Mark II belts. I wish there were an easier way to edit blueprints in the blueprint without actually having to bring it back out again. But that is graphene completely done with. More graphene than we could ever want, and it is already completely done. Now, the issue is the fact that we have to get rid of hydrogen. And there's not really a way to get rid of hydrogen. Just, you know, poof. Goodbye, hydrogen. Au revoir, have fun. We actually need something that uses the hydrogen. And what we could do is we could use the deuterium blueprint right here. But use the particle collider, the miniature particle collider, in order to condense the hydrogen. Because we can either do a hydrogen on a 1-to-1, or we can do it on a 10-to-5. And that 10-to-5 is going to half our hydrogen. So we're producing 15. That makes it into 7.5 deuterium. And that is rather condensed. But then the issue becomes, what do we do with the deuterium? Well, with the deuterium, we could either make strange matter, and then the strange matter could go into the graviton lenses, and then into space warpers, or into green science cubes, but that also would require the blue quantum chips, and that requires processors and a whole bunch of other stuff. Or we go modify one of my blueprints, which I should have honestly thought about this. I didn't think about the hydrogen byproduct until like just now. We could modify one of these, or just make a new one. Because like, when am I ever gonna need storage buffers, like fluid storage buffers, right? I could modify one of these to include, where are they? These, the thermal power plants. And the thermal power plants can actually take hydrogen as an input. The only issue with that is the fact that if these get backed up because I'm producing too much power, because we're using the suns, the artificial suns, then we're gonna have a hard time sinking the hydrogen still. I think in all honesty, the best bet is probably the strange matter. The only issue with that is that that's an iron and copper sink, and also more graphene. So we're using more graphene, which produces more hydrogen. It's a whole problem. Whole problem. I think for right now, until we figure out something else to do, because I could do the base recipe with the sulfuric acid that has no byproducts to it. The only issue then is the energetic graphite, which is coal. And we don't want to have to use coal, because that's stupid. I think the best bet is the power option, and then we can just take our suns offline. So I'll have to modify our blueprint a little bit later. Right now, I don't need to worry about that, but in the future, we will have to worry about that. So just something to keep in mind if you're following along with this, just make sure that you have a solution to your hydrogen. I'm going to use the power sink method for my hydrogen. We're deciding that as of right now. Now, next up is our iron and our copper smelting, because we need 30 green chips per second. The green chips are the circuit boards. And that means that we need 15 copper and 30 iron every second. Now, with our blueprints, we do have that capability. We have the planetary iron smelting, which is 48 furnaces. That is our very easily done, what's it called? Very easily done 30 iron per second. And I'll just come back over here and place it right along with the other one, just like that. And I am gonna upgrade all of the belts. Jack up that because the blueprint was wrong. We need more drones. This is the best part about this, by the way. You don't even have to be in the location. You can just access it from the map function. It's the best. And that will request our iron ore and produce our iron ingots as a direct result. The other issue is the sorters. I actually did not even see that they were still Mark 1s. I guess it makes sense we blueprinted that, like that was the very first blueprint that we ever did. That's the wrong blueprint book. This is the correct blueprint book. And I'm just gonna shift enter this. And then we are actually going to just snip this entire end line off because we don't need it. We literally do not need it. So now belts and sorters. That way we kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We upgrade to Mark 3 belts and Mark 2 inserters instantaneously. The only thing that we have to do for this blueprint is actually set that the copper ore comes out at the correct spots. Pump it up to 100%. Put the drones in. I also forgot I have iron to get rid of. And that more than takes care of our 15 copper per second. Next up, we're gonna need our Mark 3 assembling machines. And then our Mark 3 assembling machines in order to make 30 green chips. Do I have a machine count for that? Obviously, I do not. Taking a look at my spreadsheet. So let me go on ahead and put that here. I'm just messing with my spreadsheet a little bit on this one, because my spreadsheet did not have a machine count for this. It is 10 machines. 10 machines. That's it. We don't need to proliferate any of these guys, by the way. I'm not going to proliferate the green chips either, because it is essentially trivial. Now, let me just make sure that this actually makes sense. We get 2 every single 1 second, and these produce at 1.5 times the speed. So 2 per second, 2 times 1.5 would be 3 per second, so 10 would make 30. My math is correct, my spreadsheet is correct. That is a fantastic thing to see. And like I said, I am not going to be proliferating our green chips. I'm just going to place the logic here, and iron ingot, copper ingot, green circuits, 100%, drones, Mark 3 assembling machines. Select your recipe, copy, paste. The only reason why I am showing you guys this process, even though I know for a fact that you have seen it so many times, is just to show how fast that I've gotten at them, and how fast you can get at making these setups as well, if you really, really put your mind to it. Now, I am going to use the Mark III inserters for this, specifically thank you to their speed. No other reason to use Mark III with the exception of speed. Is this one? I see why it's having an issue. So let's get rid of that and replace it, so that then we can replace this. And still no reason here to be using anything super fancy in terms of our very, very lovely, look at those drones fly. Our very lovely satellite power distribution systems. There's no reason to use those here. Now, I am going to start a new blueprint book as well. We have our Mark I planetary blueprints, which I've just been using as a catch-all for everything right now. But right now, I'm going to make a new blueprint book. I'm going to go on ahead, and we are going to make this, I guess, green science as our labeling system. And we are going to make these late game automation. And that will be our late game automation blueprints, and that is going to have our wonderful things such as this. So, how do we path it again? Blueprint book, new empty blueprint. Create a blueprint. Blueprint book / blueprint name. So, late game automation / and then blueprint name, green circuits. Actually, I'll go on ahead and make it, circuit boards. I'll make it the proper name. Circuit boards. Doesn't get much better than this. I'm sure there are better ways that are more compact where you have, like, you know, 60 per second in one, but I don't really see a need for that. So 30 per second, 30 iron in, 15 copper in, save blueprint, and that did save the path properly. That is it for our green chips. So next up is the Photon Combiners. Now for the Photon Combiners, these things produce at 1 every 3 seconds. So we're going to need 60 machines for this. Yes, you heard that correctly. 60 machines. So let me try to think about this space-wise. I think I'll end up making it over on this side instead. And we are going to use one of these logic hubs. I think I'll place it on this line, and we'll place it a little bit back. And we are making 30 per second, but I think that'll be the standard. Maybe the standard can be 15 per second? No, because 60 machines... 60 divides by 4 very well, which is why I'm hesitant to not do it. And it divides by 4 very well by doing 15. So we can go on ahead, get rid of that for a hot second. And we can place down 6, 7... Pretty sure 15 is the limit, is it not? It is. So 15 is the limit. That is that done and dealt with. And then we can have this be a set of 4. Because of the fact that we have 30 items coming in and 30 items going out, we will have zero issues making a system based along having this kind of setup, where we have two inputs like here, here, and then here, here. And then we have our outputs going right back in, like so. And then same thing, obviously, on the center row as well. Have the outputs go back in, like so. So we can design it in a system of 4 like this to get a total of 60 machines for 30 of the photon combiners per second, and then we'll move on to the solar sails. This one I will actually go and do and then report back, because this one's going to be a little more tedious, a little longer, and a little more boring. So I will be back with you guys momentarily, and don't worry, I am going to include proliferation on this setup. Means I'm probably going to end up making this a interstellar hub, just because of the fact that it's going to be a little bit easier to deal with. So I'll be back here in just a moment. Alright, and that blueprint is in, so local demand, local demand, local demand, or sorry, no, that does still need to be local supply. And obviously our circuit boards get here first. They do go through the proliferation cycle. And then the optical grading crystals will be here in just a moment. We can go on ahead and pull... Wrong. Never mind. I was gonna say we can go on ahead and pull this up so that we can copy it and get the blueprint pathing for our photon combiners, but no, we cannot. And we're obviously not proliferating the photon combiners as of yet. We will proliferate those once we actually make our solar sails. For right now, though, these are fine as is. Yep. They are, in fact, perfect. Wonderful. Love to see it. So, that's what I meant to do. No, wrong. Copy. And then grab this whole blueprint right here. Paste. Change that to Photon Combiners. And Photon Combiners. 30 per second combiners. Out. And it is 30 circuit boards and 30 optical grading crystals. And then we can go on ahead and we are going to do a recipe. That way we know this is the alternate recipe for the photon combiners. Next up on our list is the actual solar sails themselves. Now, due to the machine count of the solar sails, we are getting 60 solar sails per second. However, with the machine count of 80, I'm going to drop that down so that each blueprint is 30 solar sails per second, and it'll be 40 machines per blueprint. Which means that it is going to be just a tiny bit on the smaller side compared to this blueprint right here. And I am just going to go on ahead and use this photon combiner blueprint as a reference point for roughly where we would need to have this secondary. And it looks like we can just have it right on this, if the game will let me. Too close to another logic station. No worries. We'll go on ahead and we'll move up to there. Now I'm going to go on ahead and do the same thing that I literally just did. One line going in, two lines both coming out, with proliferation done in the center. The only difference is going to be the fact that we are going to have our very, very lovely where did I offset? Did I offset to the back? I offset to the back. This. The only difference is that we are going to have our lovely solar sails being constructed here rather than our photon combiners. So I will be back in a second, and I'll go on ahead and stamp down a second one on camera. And we have the blueprint finished. We just need to local demand, local demand. I'm not entirely sure why. Well, first of all, I know why it's not plugged in, because it's not plugged in. I'm not sure why it's not grabbing warpers. Ah, local supply. That would be why it wasn't grabbing warpers. Makes sense. The other thing I want to check is, do I have to go home? I have to go home because I still have no fire ice. Granted, I'm going to have to go home anyway so that I can grab our lovely, handy dandy, I'm forgetting what they're called, the thermal plants, the thermal power plants. That's what they're called. They're called the thermal power plants is what we need. But I can go on ahead, I can copy this, hit that lovely paste button, and then solar sails, 30 per second solar sails, sails, 30, can't type, graphene, and 30 photon combiners per second in. And then we will go on ahead and solar sails, and we will grab our solar sails blueprint that we just built, and we will build it again. Ah, too close to other logic station. Well, in that case, let's make sure everything is in line. What's colliding? It was giving me an error, but then places everything perfectly? We'll have to see if it actually works. Did I not put any drones in here? I didn't. Well, that was stupid of me. I needed to put drones in here. I can't believe I forgot to put drones in there. It looks like it's all working perfectly. I don't know what its problem was. I'm not entirely sure why it was yelling at me right there. But as you can see, everything is fully proliferated and working perfectly with the blueprint, which is absolutely fantastic. We are getting warpers as well because these will be remote and locally supplied. Speaking of locally supplied, we're going to go on ahead and grab this and grab our rail launcher Mark II, and we're going to place that up here at the pole. I'm going to try to find one of the cardinal directions. There. And we are going to build this, and I will worry about the actual, like, orbit of it off screen and just show you once that has been fixed. Actually, what's the standard orbit that it gives me? That's a Dyson shell layer. It just gives me a default orbit, so no, I don't want to just use the default orbit. Ah, no, stop. Local demand, please, and thanks. Which actually, that means that this, if it's only going to be demanding locally, because yes, this one is the hub world for the solar sails, so I don't really need a whole lot, so I can just do solar sails, demand, 1,000, 100%, give it drones, and then have the output of the solar sails. Look how fast that blueprint was done before I was done running my stupid mouth. Craziness. Absolute craziness. But I'll go on ahead and set up an orbit after we get home, or get back here from home, from setting up our lovely gas giant exploitation and our waste management system for the hydrogen, which I promise I will figure out momentarily. I'll be back. update on the home planet. Our import of the blue motors still sucks. Our production of sulfuric acid for the titanium alloy ingots also still sucks, which means, sadly enough, I think I'm actually going to take the Dyson Sphere production offline. As cool as it looks and as amazing as it is coming along, as you can see, I just don't think it's feasible for us to actually continue trying to maintain production. We are running out of deuterium fuel rods, we are running out of the big platforms, we are just running out of everything. So, as of right now, I am going to take off and take off. Everything else is already full. So, Dyson Sphere production, in terms of the carrier rockets, are now offline. And I sincerely hope that does what I think it does. That it actually sends the rocket. Because I did that a second ago on accident with my, it does. Okay, good, it does. Because I accidentally did that a second ago with this, where I dropped the orbital collector. There were 76 in here, and I dropped it from 1,000 down to, I was trying to hit 100, and I accidentally dropped it the entirety of its way down to 0, and then poof, they were gone. And I was really perturbed for a second, like, oh shit, did I just completely and entirely just mess everything up? Also, we have 1,000 iron left on the planet. That is it. We have 1,000 iron. There's no more iron. All of the iron on our starter planet. Here's the 1,000. This is the last node. This right here is the last iron node. This is all the iron that we have left on planet, and I think that that is absolutely insane to see. I've played this game for a little over 100 hours now, and one of my first saves, I never ran out of my resources on my starter planet. Probably because I started importing them really early, and then I never ended up using these advanced mining machines on the home planet. But it is still surreal, absolutely surreal, for me to see that count drop to near 0. That is so surreal. That also, however, means that we need to now make a pit stop at Assad Australis 1, probably, and go on ahead and set it up. So I'm going to do that. Where is Assad Australis 1? All the way over there on the other side of the Dyson Sphere. So I'm going to go set that up, and then I'm going to move over to Saturn again, and then actually activate our solar sail production, and with the solar sail production activated, we will end the episode. So I will be right back. So I realized as I was placing in all of our lovely orbital gas collectors that it would immediately start producing. Slight oversight on my part on that one, but we do have every single one of them in now. All of the orbital collectors are in, which means that our solar sails are producing, and because of the fact that our solar sails are producing, I can actually also drop these down right now. No, well, yes, but also no. You're the one. Because right now, I don't want it going anywhere except to here. But that does show everything is working, proliferation is working. I don't know what else exactly we will end up doing on this planet. This planet might just be a in-between for the oil, so the oil can come here and then go out to the other systems. Or maybe we do some oil refining here because we have some of the resources. Let me take a look at what even needs oil at all. Really not anything, actually. Yeah, no, actually, the only thing that would need oil would be if I did the base graphene recipe, which is entirely possible. There is a lot of coal on Saturn IV. So there is the entire possibility of sending Saturn IV, all of the coal on Saturn IV to Saturn I in order to make all of the graphene needed for this project, and then the graphene can just go out from there. There is also the possibility of making the titanium crystals here, because, again, Saturn IV, well, and actually, never mind, that's not a lot. There was another system that I saw that had a lot. Yeah, Canis Majoris. That's gonna be, look at that, 50 million titanium, 2.5 million organic crystals. That's gonna be where we do the titanium crystals, no doubt in mind. And there's no point in doing sulfuric acid as a oil product rather than just harvesting it from an ocean, because we have the Canis Majoris ocean, we have the Agena ocean, and we have the Tish ocean as well. So no point in doing that. I don't really know if there's anything else that we could use oil for. I'll think on it, and we'll find out. At the very least, what I might be able to do is carbon nanotubes in some way, shape, or form. Or, if need be, if there's any need for plastic, that's also an option. But right now, it really just looks like graphene is the thing. And we could do graphene, like I said, with the coal that is on Saturn IV. Right now, I guess the last thing that we can do for today, so that we don't hit that 40-minute mark, is we make ourselves an orbit. So let's take a look at our system here. We are at what kind of inclination here? Because we have the orbit inclination, we're at 5-degree tilt toward the sun. And the sun, does the sun have a tilt? The sun does not have a tilt. That's not how that works. Ah, there it is. I think that's what I'm looking for. Planet obliquity. 6 degrees. I think it should be fine for us then if we just do kind of what we did back home in the home world, but with a lot smaller ones. So we're only going to do that. And then the orbit inclination, I think we'll go on ahead and do a little more egregious with it. We'll go on ahead and do 35 degrees. And then for the longitude, we'll do 90. And then we are going to do the Benji Blue, 234. I love the Benji Blue. And that'll be that orbit. And then we add an orbit. Did just hit add an orbit, didn't I? Ah, here. 7,500. Orbit inclination of 35. And the other one we had... where? 90. So we're gonna want this at 270? Yes. 70 would... yeah, that's gonna look cool. And then 234, full blue, Benji Blue, orbit 2, orbit 1, fantastic. And then we can go up here. And we have 2 rings of them. Doesn't really matter the ring thickness. We'll just go on ahead and do ring 1. Ooh, unless they can't see. It'll be a problem if none of them can see. Uh-oh. Did we put it on the wrong pole, perhaps? Can you see orbit 2? You can see orbit 2. Can you see orbit 1? None of them can see orbit 1. Wow, how close am I? 0.378 AU. I don't know how that translates into meters. Looks like they're hitting there, which means this is trying to hit way down here. Okay, so let's take that orbit inclination at 0 instead. That still didn't really help. Yeah, those are bad orbits. Those are bad orbits. How do we fix that? Maybe shrink them? Alright, I'm gonna troubleshoot this and then bring it back in for an outro, because I'm already taking up more time than I wanted to. Alright, so two things. I got it to work. These are the two orbits. They're a little closer together than I would have liked, but it's gonna work, it's gonna produce me power, and that's what matters. Second thing, I have my sinks for hydrogen figured out. And as far as I can tell here, one hydrogen has 9 megajoules of energy, and megajoule, a joule per second, I believe it is a watt. So if this is 9 megajoules, and this thing can produce 2 megawatts, that means that it's like one of these every 5 seconds, roughly. So if one of these every 5 seconds, that's 1 second, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So if that's 10, at full capacity, of course, then this would end up, why? Oh, I see, because they're too close to one another up at the top. Huh. Didn't think about that being an issue, did I? No, I did not. Answer to that question. If I paste it this way. Paste it this way, that's fine. It just collides on that side. It's fine. I don't need the full 20, so I can literally just do... boom. That. And that'll work. And that should get rid of all of my hydrogen. Or at least as much of it as I'm producing as soon as I actually take out my stars, because my stars are currently producing all of the energy that I need. But I have already droned on for way too long this episode, so thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed, but without further ado, adios, sayonara, au revoir, hasta la vista, das vidania, wiedersehen, ciao, and goodbye. Please have yourselves all a fantastic rest of your day. Please get some sleep if you need to. Don't forget to stay hydrated. Looking at you. You're not hydrating. You need to be hydrated. Hydration is important. And it's a very, very well-known fact that hydration is important. So, go get yourself some water. No judgment. But go get yourself some water. And I will see you guys in the next one. Later, y'all.